welcome to Find Out Nation, the podcast that explores what happens when a country fucks around and find out. I am your telephone operator, Jamie. I apologize that I look so awesome, but my microphone's gone out, my speaker's gone out. This is the dedication that we have. I'm
That's
willing to
right.
look like this
To bring you the podcast.
the podcast. That's exactly right. So
Yes.
I am your hosting telephone operator, Jamie.
I'm your other host, Nicole.
And we are here to persevere. We are here to persevere.
It's exactly right. It's exactly
Nicole,
right.
I am so excited. We are under, right?
We are
under 600 days. So can you tell us how far into our Trump presidency are we, and how far until we hit those midterm elections are we?
So 56 days into Trump presidency, so still not fucking 60 days in.
Not 60 days in. How is that possible?
I know.
Yeah, okay.
And 595 until the midterms. We have finally gotten below 600.
Yay! This is a joyous moment.
It is.
Oh my God, I never thought we would get here.
I know.
So counting down the days until we get there. It is also St. Patrick's Day today, so hence why you and I are both representing the green.
That's right. Yes.
So we're recording this on St. Patrick's Day. Which, by the way, I saw an internet video today of people who really believe in, I think, Mobile, Alabama, that a leprechaun is living in a tree. So it is wild times we live in.
Okay.
Wild times we live in. Yes,
you know what? Go with God. Like,
go with God. That's right. Okay. As amusing as that story is, I want to talk about something that is really, I want to start this podcast with something that is really, really serious. A lot of people are claiming that this is putting us into a constitutional crisis. I don't disagree. I feel like this is like starting to become super real, super McCarthy, super like, oh, Jesus, where are we in the world? And that's these deportations of people with green cards and visas, or mass deportations regardless of due process, defying federal judge orders. Like it's starting to stack up. So, of course, we referenced in our last podcast Muhammad Khalil, who was just detained for no explicit reason. And in fact, we still really haven't heard why he was detained. And ICE agents said that his student visa had been revoked, even though he's here on a green card. He's married to an American citizen. Yes, he has protested before, but at the end of the day, he's not been accused of any crime.
Right.
This is the terrifying scenario, right? This is where it gets terrifying. You are a green card citizen. You're married to an American citizen, a naturalized American citizen. You are literally living in the United States. This is where your life is. And ICE agents just detain you, put you away, and you have no rights, no capabilities, you're getting no due process. What the fuck? How did we get here? Like so I try when I look at some of these like scenarios, we're going to talk about the economy today. And I always I have 2 or 3 people who are still in my inner circle, not inner circle, but people that I love and respect that are Republicans. And so I try and approach these from, what is the Republican take on this? But what's the answer here? Like, what could a Republican actually claim that would make this justifiable? A green card American citizen that's done nothing wrong, or at least not been charged with any crime, is being detained. I mean, can you come up with any answer that a Republican could come up with? Anything?
No, because that scenario is different than the alleged Venezuelan gang members, right? Because 100%. A green card immigrant, I mean, even the people on the planes, the alleged Venezuelan gang members have rights. You have the ability to be what was the word I'm looking for? To be
processed under due process.
yes,
You
have due process.
constitutionally,
Yes.
regardless of your scenario,
Yeah.
like there is the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution says everyone
In
is
this country.
in this country should be afforded the right of due process no matter what.
Yes.
Like, and this is where, like, when we talk about an affront to the Constitution, this is what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Like,
Like,
yeah.
there's no question here. The
No.
Constitution says it is everyone is afforded that right. Everybody deserves that right to at least be given due process, to at least be charged with crimes, to at least like have an
A
understanding of why they're
jury of
being
your
a
peers.
jury of peers, exactly.
Yes.
And like
We
that's
don't just
right. We are not. This is where when we call this a dictatorship, when we call this an authoritarian
yes.
government, this is why. This is the
Yeah.
affront to our Constitution. And all these fucking don't tread on me's. Where are
Mhm.
they?
Are
Where
you?
are they?
Yes. Well, because see that they're white. So see, that's not going
Yeah.
to happen to them because they're white. And that's the
Okay.
thing. We don't just put people on a fucking plane and send them to another fucking country with zero proof or conviction of an actual goddamn crime, including alleged Venezuelan gang members.
Right. So I want to get to the alleged Venezuelan gang members, but there are white people. So have you heard about Fabian Schmidt, the German green card holder?
Uh-uh.
So him and his mother immigrated here in the early 2000s, got green cards, so they're green card holders. He lived in California, then moved to the East Coast, has a child that was born in America. He was detained at the airport, required medical attention during his interview because he was so violently handled by interrogists, and then was transferred to an ICE detention center in Rhode Island. Customs
For
and
what
Border Patrol
reason?
claimed that he has a drug-related charge. So while he lived in California, he was caught with a misdemeanor amount of marijuana, but that case was dismissed because marijuana was legalized. So the entire case and all charges were dismissed. But because this is what ICE is claiming, they are going to revoke his green card and deport him based on this information. And
Based
he's
on a
white.
crime, right? Based on a crime that has been dismissed and he was not convicted of, and a
That's
misdemeanor to
right.
boot.
That's right. That's correct. And there's been no other crimes that they've been able to come up with as evidence as to why this guy is being detained and deported.
Detained.
hmm Then we have Dr. Rasha
Oh,
Alwea. Did you hear about
yeah. It's
her?
the university
Okay.
professor.
Yes, and I know I'm saying her name incorrectly, but she's a 34-year-old kidney transplant at Brown with a valid visa. They've deported her on Saturday despite a court order temporary blocking
Mhm.
deportation because they found evidence suggesting she was sympathetic to Hezbollah militant group and canceled her visa. She has since come on and said, "Listen, I am sympathetic from a religious aspect. I do not believe in them militarily or politically, and yet they have gone ahead and said, well, too bad, we're just invalidating your visa." So this is all like, okay, you have green card holders and visa holders.
Mhm.
Then you have the Venezuelan gang members. So 200 and some, like 238 uh,
Something like that. Yeah.
people who are being accused of being Venezuelan gang members. Again, no proof,
Nope.
no
That's exactly right.
trial, no
That's right.
charges, nothing at all. But
Yep.
Mark Rubio had brokered a deal with El Salvador, and El Salvador is making a bunch of money off of us by
Yep.
basically sending all of these people to what is really a concentration camp. Like at the end of
Yeah.
the day, it's really a concentration camp,
Yeah.
and they are going to get held for a year. When asked about why they were allowed, and they were told that, so that was on Saturday that Donald Trump signed this, what is it? The
He enacted the Alien Enemies
Foreign
Act of
Enemies Act,
17 whatever.
98,
1798. Yeah.
which had only been invoked three other times: the War of 1812, World War I, and World War II, all
Mhm.
three of which were wartime.
Because that's what it's meant for.
Right. And we are in peacetime right now.
Yes.
But he is claiming that, well, we're at war with immigrants. And so he had the authority to enact this claim. Later on, a judge says, no, 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 no. We need to review this. And yet the 238 people still make it on the plane, still get sent to to El Salvador. And the El Salvadorian president shares news of the articles of the judge's ruling and captioned it, oopsie, too late, with the crying laughter emoji. Can we say how much this is just throwing into the fucking face? Like, screw you, federal judges, doesn't make a
Oh,
goddamn difference. We're going to
yeah.
do what we want to do.
Stephen Miller and Tom Homan both said today in separate interviews. Stephen Miller stood in front of the, out on the lawn of the White House
Yep. Yep.
and said that a federal judge in a small secular area of the country does not have the right to decide whether what the president has done or not is legal. And Tom Homan said, I don't give a shit what the
Yep.
judges say. We're doing
Yep.
it anyway. And he
We're
said it in an
doing it
interview
anyway.
on Fox News today.
Okay. Can we just say, like, when Democrats sounded the alarm, when we sounded the alarm about Trump, like I get there are probably Republicans out there that are like, well, if
He
Khalil
says
hadn't
they're bad.
right, if Khalil hadn't been protesting, he clearly did bad things, and oh, this German guy, I mean, he had his drug related charge, even though it was dismissed, blah blah blah, right? So there's all these things, but understand that this is just precedent now that says our
Correct.
executive branch can do whatever they want, regardless of what a judge orders them to do.
And two things I want to touch in on that. One is, how are you going to feel when they come for you?
That's
Because
right.
see, this is no
Okay.
different than the trans community. We start
Okay.
with low hanging fruit.
Yes, I have a story for that, but say your
And
second point.
my second point is, we can thank the fucking Supreme Court for this. Because
Yep.
when they gave him a fucking pass
Yep.
on presidential immunity, he now thinks he can. I mean, this is why we're pushing the envelope, right? Because the Supreme Court, he already knows he's not going to get charged with anything while he's in
Right.
office. And the
It's
Supreme
not
Court has said, we're not going to touch you when
right.
you're out of office.
That's right. It's not just he thinks. Precedent has been set that
Yeah.
nothing bad will come to him. So
Yeah.
this is my favorite story of a green card deportation. You'll like this.
Oh, God.
Camelia Munoz is a Peruvian immigrant who recently married an American Trump voter.
Oh,
USA
Jesus.
Today reports that Munoz and her new husband, Bradley Bartell, were recently broken apart by an immigration agent at an airport check-in when they attempted to fly home to Wisconsin from their honeymoon in Puerto Rico. Bartell and Munoz wore their wedding, so she had been vetted from the start. She worked on a W-2, paid her taxes. Before agents let her away, Munoz pulled off her wedding ring in case it got stolen. Her husband thinks to himself, what the fuck do I do now? They say Munoz overstayed her visa in 2020 when COVID prevented her from being able to fly home, and she's now being detained in an ICE facility in Louisiana. It took Bartell almost a week to figure out where she was. He voted for Donald Trump in the 2024 election and says, well, he doesn't understand why his wife, who doesn't have a criminal record, was caught up in the president's crackdown. He says that the money the couple saved for a down payment on a home has evaporated in attorney fees and savings to pay a bond for her release, if she's even given that chance. Both of them have been thinking a lot about Bartell's vote for Trump. I knew they were cracking down, he said. I guess I didn't know how it was going down. He imagined the administration would target people who snuck over the border and weren't vetted. But his wife, they know who she is and where she came from, he says. They need to get the vetting done and not keep these people locked up. It doesn't make any sense. Well, it makes sense to all of
Sure.
us who knew
Makes
this is
sense
going
to
to
me.
happen.
That's right.
Yep.
All that matters is that she has brown skin. And
Yep.
she fucked up and overstayed her visa. Check 2
Yep.
boxes and out you go.
That's right. So, yeah.
Oh my God. I saw a quote today by one of my favorite people that I follow on Substack. And that story fits this quote so perfectly. Her quote was, Trump 2.0 is not a pick your own adventure experience. You go to the carnival, you get all of the rides.
Yeah.
Like, this is it, folks. This is what
Yes.
I don't want to hear. Well, this is not what I voted for. Yes, the fuck it is. You didn't pay attention. And that's on you because you still
That's right.
fucking voted for it. You allowed yourself to get wrapped up emotionally into, we're only dealing with the criminals. We're only going, you know what I mean? Like, we can't vote for a woman because she's too emotional and she's stupid. And I accidentally got shot in the ear and almost died. And I'm anointed by God to run
Yep.
this fucking country. And you got all worked up and in a lather over your emotions instead of looking into the deeper shit that the rest of us were looking into when we realized he was coming back in. Like, we fucking
We
knew this
knew.
was happening.
Yeah, we've been telling
Yes.
everyone we know for years at this point. To
Yes.
your point, I mean, you could reasonably have made a case, even though clearly it wasn't true, that the deportation of the Venezuelan gang members on Saturday was, oh, whoopsie, sorry, didn't hear the judge's orders, whatever, whatever.
Right.
And so I read an article today from the New York Times about, are we in a constitutional crisis? Are we actually in a and most people are saying no, we're not, because at the end of the day, like, we haven't had full on, this administration is not following the orders clearly, it's not set in stone that that's what's happening. But the
Mm-hmm.
comments today say in no uncertain terms that, I am sorry, we don't care what judges say, we're not following their orders, we're done listening to them. And the fact that we are seeing this happen, like, it's going to happen to someone you know. Like, I'm sorry to say,
Yes.
it's going to happen to someone you know. I have friends whose parents are immigrants or green card holders, and they have friends that are visa and green card holders. It's going to fucking happen to you.
Yep.
You're gonna see it. You're gonna see it somewhere in the world. And I'm sorry to say, but, like, too
Yeah.
bad. Too bad, so sad. This is what happens.
And
This is what happens.
now you're regretting your decision,
Mm-hmm.
your vote. Some of you, most of you still aren't. Some of you are regretting your vote. And that does fuck all for us now
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you didn't bother to pay attention and to think critically about what this was going to mean.
Yeah.
So we're all just fucked.
Right. So this is where I would love to see comments or
Mm-hmm.
any from any Republicans that are listening to this that actually tell me, like, do you support this? Do you believe that we're
Yeah.
actually, like, that the government is doing the right thing by just deporting these people without giving them the chance to defend themselves or comment on
Yeah.
what they're being
Of the charges. They
charged
didn't even
with?
have a chance to respond to the alleged charges because they were never
Some of
fucking
them
charged
haven't,
with anything.
right.
They were
Some of
put
them
on a
have not.
goddamn plane.
Some of them have not even been charged. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I would love, love, love to hear, like, what is the Republican take on some of these, just, yep, they deserve it. Sorry, sucks to be you. Like, I would
Well, and
really
because
love to know.
to your point, especially these tread on me folks,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
do you understand that don't tread on me is for everyone? Like,
Yeah.
when you're saying you don't want the government to tread on you, those rights are afforded to everyone in this country, citizen or not. If
Yep.
you're in this country and you are charged with a crime, you have the right to due process. But of
Yeah.
course, we have to charge you with a crime. If we just decide to put your ass on a plane and fly you to a fucking foreign country
Too bad,
and
so
never
sad.
officially charge you with anything,
That's
I
right.
get, I
And
mean,
we
so
and we
like,
claim we're in wartime, so that's why we have the right to do it.
yeah, we just
Like,
make up shit. We're just making up
right.
shit now.
Right. We're just making up shit now. And what really pisses me off is that he'll use this deportation, even though these people were already in custody, he'll use this deportation as evidence because he'll be able to convince everyone these are actual gang members. And
Yeah,
so
because nobody's going to say, where's the fucking proof?
because nobody can. Like, at this point, it's like, oh, we don't have to. And so he'll be able to be like, oh, these were the worst of the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I fulfilled this promise for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll
I'm
tell you
making our
what.
country safer.
That's exactly right. I'm making our country safer. Okay. Next, I want to talk a little bit about the economy because I really am holding on
Mm,
to our last little bit, which is the Chuck Schumer Democratic imploding to the end of this podcast. So let's talk about the economy for a second.
okay.
Today I read that spending was less than expected. It rose less than expected in February, that we have a really big slowdown and we are in, so the tariffs are causing rise in prices, so rising inflationary costs.
Okay.
They, I will say inflation is slowing right now, less than where it was, but that's because a lot of businesses are coming in and saying that we're not going to actually see the effects of increased prices for another month or so. Because, like, right now, you're not really getting a lot of like fruits and vegetables from Mexico that
Mm-hmm.
you would see that from, et cetera, et cetera. Um, but yeah, businesses are already anticipating increased prices. We saw the S&P absolutely fucking plummet. We're seeing stocks and our retirement plans absolutely demolished. And then, my biggest issue right now is that growth is stagnant, but prices are increasing, which means we now have less buying power than we ever did, ever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the one Republican that I heard made a comment said, well, inflation is slowing, so we're on the right track. And I was like, really? Like, do you think we're on the right track? Like, do you really think we're on the right track? So let me ask you, I see this as a ploy for them to bring down stock prices as low as possible so that they can buy a bunch of stock. And then when Democrats get back into office, it'll increase
Mm-hmm.
the value, will start growing again. And now their stock prices are through the roof. That's my assumption of what is happening. Is that in general the same as what you're anticipating?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't understand. I mean, automakers are already like, I know that the automakers have come out and told Trump, like, you're killing us. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were talking about my new car just a week ago and how expensive that was and how thankful I am I went ahead and bought it when I did because in a
Yeah.
few months it's going to be too much. I'm not going to be able to afford
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah. I read an article today about appliance manufacturers and the lumber industry and how it's going to slow the housing market down because of
yep,
new houses and people that are wanting to do remodels and upgrades and things like that because the your basic appliances are going to be,
too
you know,
expensive.
yeah, too expensive.
And because of the ICE deportations, of course, there's a lack of labor to do a lot of
Mm-hmm.
that manual labor work.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard that the housing market in general has just slowed because, of course, interest rates have remained relatively high. I
Yeah.
have heard that in a couple of months, of course, the Fed will reevaluate, which they always do. They always reevaluate
Right.
interest rates and hopefully will drive those down. But what a perfect storm for rich people to buy up cheap
Yeah.
stocks, to borrow money at a cheap interest rate and buy up cheap stocks that then will rise when
Which
we
is
start.
why he's doing what he's doing.
That's right. That's right. That's why he's doing what he's doing. I heard a quote today that says that the youth of America are seeing a dimming of the American dream.
Mm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
constantly believe that the reason why we have people that actually believe in the Make America Great believe that they are entitled to the American dream and that they're still yearning for it. And that Donald Trump is going to provide that American dream to the masses, right? I think that's what people actually think is going to happen. It shocks me that people don't see this, this,
Mm-hmm.
this, this economy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
falsely inflating prices with tariffs, causing stock market crashes, forcing interest rates down because now inflation is I mean, prices are falsely
Right.
inflated. Like,
Right.
it's like, I don't know how you could come to a different conclusion. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So
Yeah.
again, I would love to know where Republicans are. Again, if the only thing that you have to tell me is, well, inflation is slowing, so we're on the right track, come to me in 3 months and let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about where we are. Come to me in 6 months and
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about where we are. I'm so dumbfounded by that whole message that I can't believe
Yeah.
educated people that believe that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh God. Yes.
let's talk about Chuck Schumer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I read an article last Thursday that's like, will Democrats use their last remaining piece of leverage to try and check Trump's power?
Mm-hmm.
Up until this point, I had heard Chuck Schumer saying we're not going to vote for this continuing resolution. We're not going to keep the government open. Like, I felt like everyone was on board.
Yeah. I mean, Hakeem Jeffries was saying we did
Hakeem
not,
Jeffries and
we did not,
yep,
yeah, capitulate,
the
and
House,
you need to, yeah.
the House Democrats did what they needed to do. And then at the last minute, Chuck Schumer says, nope, me and 9 of my friends are going to vote to let this CR go through, and that's it.
And his reason was just as infuriating as him actually doing it.
The
His
concern was,
justification for it.
that's right, was letting the government shutdown would shift Doge into overdrive and give Trump everything he needs to shut down everything in the government that he doesn't like. He basically came out and said that, like, oh, we had two terrible options, and this was the one that hurts the U.S. least. So that's what we decided to do. Are you fucking kidding me?
Exactly. Because guess what, Chuck? Now we'll never know.
And they're doing it anyway.
That's exactly
But
right. They don't need you to shut the government down to do it. They're doing it. You're exactly right. They're doing it anyway.
they're doing it goddamn anyway. So you're telling me Mike Johnson gets the opportunity to write a fucking budget that gives blanket slush fund power to Donald Trump and says, here's a bunch of money, do whatever you need to do with it.
Yep.
And then takes it to the Democrats. And the Democrats finally have the ability to be like, listen, don't be crazy. We're not going to let you just do this. And instead, they're like, stamp, okay, you
Yep.
go on with your bad self. Are you kidding me? If Chuck Schumer had come out and said, I believe that this continuing resolution will show people how bad Republicans are with money, I would have more respect for him than the excuse that he gave, which
Mm-hmm.
was, no, this is the best thing for the country. You are a goddamn idiot, sir. Like, I'm sorry, but
Right.
I have supported you in the past. I've been a fan in the past. You are an idiot. You are such an idiot. Um,
I mean, even
Hakeem
Nancy
Jeffries,
Pelosi came out and spoke against him.
the House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries refused to comment on his feelings around Schumer. When asked about it, he kept responding with no comment, no comment, no comment. Schumer has canceled his book tour.
Of course he has, because now we're scared, right? Now we
Yes.
realized we stepped in the shit.
Over the
And
security concerns, yes, he has canceled that book tour.
I just, I understand that we're 595 days away from the midterms. And I understand that we're not even 60 days into this administration. But regardless, what the fuck are the Democrats doing? Like, this is like, you
What?
clearly don't want to be
We've
back in
learned
power
nothing.
ever.
We've
You don't want to
we've
be back in
learned
power
nothing.
ever.
Okay,
Okay.
so I listened to a really interesting podcast this week about how this mirrors Tea Party Republicans for Obama's first year in
Mm-hmm.
office.
Mm-hmm.
That when Obama was first elected, we had Democrats had control of both the House and the Senate, plus it was Obama. Um, so during that time, there was a government shutdown.
Mm-hmm.
And the Tea Party Republican that took over a longstanding Republican's office was Ted Cruz.
Oh, yeah.
And Ted Cruz participated to filibuster the continuing resolution that shut down that government.
I forgot that it was Ted Cruz.
That's right. And look at where they are. So
Mm-hmm.
at this point, the Tea Party runs the Republican Party almost exclusively.
Mm-hmm.
It's very clear Republicans are now like fully on board, fully committed to the Tea Party lifestyle. I am telling you, Democrats, your days are numbered. Old school
Yeah.
Democrats that are not willing to
Yep.
like make the change, become progressive. AOC got on and just absolutely railed against them and said this is the wrong thing to do. A change of leadership has been floated by multiple Democratic organizations that give money to people who run. There are multiple progressives that are now eyeing campaigns. I am telling you, like, are you kidding me?
Hmm.
That we have decided that we are going to we are not going to let the government just shut down. It is literally the best thing that could have happened.
Yeah.
It's literally the best thing that could have happened is to let the government shut down, let Trump and Elon Musk go absolutely batshit fucking crazy, and
Yeah.
watch what happens in order to make the point that Republican plans and ideals are completely unhinged. Now
Yes.
you've given them money, you've
Permission.
given them power, you've given them permission. Like
Hmm.
how could you do that?
Yeah. And
I,
you, by voting for this continuing resolution, you've now told the American people, I know they're going to have to make cuts to Medicare and
yeah,
Medicaid and to the
yeah.
programs that you need, because I know that there's no way for them to get to the amount of money that they want to cut without cutting your programs. But I didn't think it was going to be good for us to shut down the government and TSA workers go to work without getting paid.
To your point, I would like let the Republicans steal from Social Security. But now
Yeah.
you're an accomplice. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
now you have signed away that yes, I put my name on this, that yep, you can do this thing. And if you don't think that that's what they're going to do, then again, you're just stupid. Trump and Elon have been
Right.
saying this is what they're going to do.
Right.
So if you're not listening, then that's on you, friend, because I mean, you've got to be some kind of stupid at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yes.
I can't believe that we're in this place.
I
Like,
was flabbergasted. And granted, we were out of town. And so I didn't know anything about it until Saturday morning. And then I woke up and I was like, you gotta fucking be kidding me. Because I
I wish
expected
I,
to wake up to headlines on Saturday morning about how the goddamn government has shut down.
me too. So I went to dinner on Friday night and didn't know exactly when the vote was. And so we're
Mm-hmm.
sitting there and we're talking about it. And a friend of mine is like, oh, it just passed. I'm like, oh my fucking God, you've got to. I was like, there's no way it's going to pass. There's no way it's going to pass.
Right.
Like, Democrats are not going to be this stupid. Like, you've got to be kidding me. Democrats, and nope, we're that stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it to the point, like, this is where the anger of the Tea Party.
Yeah.
And I would like to believe that we're more rational thinkers than just crazy MAGA, whatever. But the
Mm-hmm.
Tea Party is literally the anger, the dissension, the like complete lack of faith in the current government is what has led us to MAGA.
Mm-hmm.
If Democrats continue behaving the way that they are, all it's going to do is push the rest of us more and more progressive to the point where, the middle ground is just not going to exist anymore. There's just not going
Right.
to be a middle ground anymore because there can't be. Like there
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 can't be.
just
Yeah.
logically can't be. People are going to be too angry about things like this.
Yeah. Yes.
I was shocked. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and, if I'm the Republicans and I'm trying to blame Democrats for the government shutdown, which is what I assume they all thought that they would get, if
Right.
I'm trying to blame them, like, why not invite them to the table? And then, like, of course, you can say, no, never mind, you're not going to get whatever you want. But, like,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't even invite a Democrat to the table to have a
No,
conversation. Like,
they didn't have to.
how?
And that's the part that's
Apparently,
just
they
as
didn't have
infuriating.
to. Yeah,
That's just as much infuriating as anything else. Is Schumer just fucking rolled over, and Kristen Gillibrand went with him, and all the other that he, the 8 others that he convinced
that he
to
put in
go
his
along with him.
pockets.
And I'm like,
Yes.
I don't understand. I don't understand. Yeah,
I don't even.
he should be canceling his book tour. He should be very fucking worried.
I'm sure, yeah, he has to be. I mean, at
Mm-hmm.
this point, I would be. And my thing is like, I just, the fact is like, all of that is what gave rise to being able to steal Supreme Court
Right.
seats. The anger and frustration is what gave Republicans the gumption to do a lot of the shit that they have done to
Yeah.
just steal the
Yeah.
government. And so all I can hope for is that this infuriates people so much. Like if Bernie Sanders ran tomorrow, I could not, in good conscience, and I've said this before, vote for a Democrat and not vote for Bernie Sanders. I couldn't do
Right.
it.
Right.
I don't care who's more likely to win. I could not do it because I don't think the
Right.
Democrats can handle themselves anymore. They're too stupid.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of stupidity, I have a couple of things that I put in the crazy conspiracy bucket.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so my and I don't want to say crazy conspiracy because I actually like one of these is crazy and one of them is not.
Mm-hmm.
So the latest crazy Republican conspiracy is Musk
Oh.
claiming. Have you heard on so he now has like a portion of his Joe Rogan podcast interview pinned, I guess, to the top of his right. And basically, this is what he says. Why is the Democrat propaganda machine so fired up to destroy me? That's the main reason. The main reason is that this entitlement fraud that includes like Social Security, disability, and Medicaid. Entitlement fraud for illegal aliens is what is serving as a gigantic magnetic force to pull people in from all around the world and keep them here. Like basically, if you pay people at a standard of living that is above 90% of Earth, then you have a very powerful incentive for 90% of Earth to come here and stay here. But if you end the illegal alien fraud, then you turn off that magnet and they leave. They stop coming, and the ones that are here, many of them will simply leave. And if that happens, they will lose a massive number of Democratic voters. So this is his theory. This is his theory.
Okay.
Apparently, there is some major propaganda that Democrats are putting out. I have not gotten this newsletter. Nobody asked me. I
Yeah.
have a podcast that I could advertise on, but no one's told me that apparently there's some newsletter going out to all the poor nations and saying, listen, if you come to the United States, you can commit fraud to collect Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare. And then while you're here, you can commit voter fraud to vote for Democrats. Like apparently that's a thing. Have you ever like I did
No, this is
have
new
you
for me.
have
This
you
is new
heard
for me.
this?
I have
I
not
have
heard
not heard
this.
this either. I'm like,
Because I
okay,
would have assumed if that were true, that as a liberal leaning household, we would be asked to provide shelter for said
that's right.
immigrants who
That's right.
are allowed to commit this fraud so that we can help them navigate the best way to do that
Or at least
our
provide
way.
like training or
Right.
consulting, like
Something,
something, or
something.
at
A
least get the
ride
message
to the
out.
polls.
Right. At least get the message out. Like we
Right.
we we have a podcast. We have
Yes.
a podcast that like at least
Yeah.
one of our podcasts hit over 100 views. So like
Right.
people might be listening to us.
Right.
At least like I've never heard that this is like something widespread before, but Elon Musk believes that this is what the Democratic Party is doing is letting everybody in the poorest areas know that they can come here, commit fraud twice, once by applying for Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and then a second time by committing voter fraud. And then that's how we're getting Democrats to vote.
So maybe this is on like a liberal leaning version of 4chan.
That's what I'm
And that's
saying.
why we don't know about it. It's because we're
That
not on the
maybe.
correct dark web internet site.
I'm saying it's a possibility.
And so who is running this propaganda machine? Who do we
I
think's
don't
running it?
know. Elon hasn't said. Elon hasn't. Maybe it's Hillary Clinton. I don't know.
Oh, it
But
probably
Elon.
is from the basement of the pizzeria.
That's right. And it's emails. She does it through
Yes.
emails.
Email. That's why. That's it. Yep. Got it.
Okay.
We figured it out.
Solved. Good job. Okay. Elon Musk. Great. Love it.
Oh my
Okay.
God. What a fucking cuckoo bird. I don't understand. Oh God. Oh God. Tell me.
Okay. So here's the other one. And this one, I feel like we could recruit some Democrats to believe in. Like
Oh, okay.
if we're going to start the Democratic Tea Party movement here,
Mm-hmm.
this is going to be the conspiracy theory that I want to perpetuate. So
Okay.
please keep in mind, for those of you who know how logical and whatever, I am abandoning logic to
Yes.
bring you this conspiracy theory. Okay, but from Euronews, fact check. Was Donald Trump recruited by the KGB and codenamed Krasnov? Okay, a Facebook post by an ex-KGB agent claiming that Donald Trump was recruited by Moscow in 1987 under the codename Kraskov has sent social media into a spin. What's the story behind the claim? So the story that they say is that back in 1987, and this is true, Donald Trump went to Moscow to meet with officials there. He The Soviets wanted him to build two high-profile hotels, and that
Mm-hmm.
was like widely reported. That
Mm-hmm.
there's a picture of like Donald Trump. I can't show you, but I'll show, maybe I'll post it. Anyway, there's a picture of Donald Trump in Moscow, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, what the article says is that while he was there,
Mm-hmm.
he okay, the most important area of work of the sixth department was the acquisition of spies and sources of information from among businessmen of capitalist countries. It was in that year that our department recruited the 40-year-old businessman from the US, Donald Trump, nicknamed Krasnov. And this is coming from a former KGB agent. There are two other KGB agents that are totally independent from this guy
Mm-hmm.
who have corroborated the story and said the exact same
No,
thing.
you're lying.
Swear to God, have said the exact same thing. Now, in all fairness, in Euronews's response, it says, okay, is it really true? They
Mm-hmm.
say Trump ties with Russia were investigated in the 2019 Mueller report, which was commissioned by the U.S. Justice Department and examined Russian interference with the 2016 U.S. elections. While
Mm-hmm.
links between the Russian government and the Trump campaign were identified, the report did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with Russian government in its election interference activities. When questioned, Trump responded, "I never worked for Russia." That can be believed. Sure, that's it. Done.
Well, and when you're asked if you're
A Russian
corroborating with Russia and your response is, I never worked for Russia, that's not answering the question.
right. So similar allegations about Trump being a Russian asset have surfaced repeatedly in the past. In 2021, American journalist and author Craig Unger published his book, American Compromat, in which he claims that Trump was recruited by Moscow. And then former KGB agent Yuri Shvets, who had a cover job as a correspondent for the Russian state-owned news agency TASS in Washington during the 80s, was one of Unger's key sources in that book. So a totally different KGB agent told Unger about this. And so, like, it's been corroborated by multiple different sources. It seems so. The original KGB agent that reported out on this was Alner Mosayev, and let me just say that, like, considering how sympathetic Trump has been to Russia,
We've talked about that. Like, what's
yes,
the connection? What do they have on him?
right. And the only thing I can think of is like, oh, they're keeping him in power so that they're futzing with our elections,
Right.
which we know they have.
Yeah.
He's futzing with our elections, but it would make even more sense if he was a KGB operative, especially since he's been siding with not only Russia, but then a lot of their allies recently in a lot of different foreign disputes.
Yeah.
So I,
Oh my
right,
God.
I am, I'm just saying, if we're going to adopt a conspiracy theory, if we're going to adopt our own Pizzagate,
Yes.
then I feel like this is it. I would like to credit my father for sending me this.
Oh, thanks, Jen.
I That's right. So my father is the one that sent this on Facebook, and let me tell you, it has been shared far and wide. But I'm just saying, if we're going to jump on a conspiracy train, if we're going to abandon all hope, this is the one we're going to jump on. Just saying.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
this is more believable than liberals are
Then
drinking
Pizzagate.
drinking the blood of our children. Their
Right.
adrenal.
Right.
Oh my God.
Or that Democrats are recruiting international poor people to commit fraud
Right.
multiple times in the United States. Like, this is a lot
Right.
more credible. There's actually
Yes.
sources, at least, that support this, for crying out loud.
Yes.
So anyway, I had to share that with you. Okay.
Wow, I was not aware. I was not
I
aware.
know. You're welcome. I thought I would like give that to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, one last thing from my side.
Yeah.
Speaking of foreign news press, uh, it was announced that Voice of Voice of America, which is like a pro-democracy news outlet,
Mm-hmm.
and in the past it's like been in operation for 83 years. It has been
Oh,
known
dang.
for, yes, it's been known for its like message of democracy, making its way to countries where they've controlled so much of the media that they haven't been able to really, tell people what's going on in the Western civilization and democratic countries. It was recently dismantled by Donald Trump, saying that it is too left leaning, even though like it's constantly fact checked. The one of the major reporters, and I actually think that he's like the chief editor now. I don't know, but anyway,
Mhm.
like he's under investigation because his social media pages, they're saying, are too politically biased, even though he came out and said, I take great pains to not be politically biased.
Right.
But this comes on the heels of course, the Associated Press that still is
Yep.
not allowed to cover a lot of things. So I would just like to ask once again my Republican friends and family. Okay,
Yeah.
it is in a free press is in the Constitution. We know that there are politically biased news channels,
Yes.
fucking news, Fox News and whatever. We know there are political news channels.
Yes.
Since when do we not allow our our news outlets to have access and to be able to report out on the things going on in our country? Since
Right.
when? I mean, this
Just
is in the
because you don't like
Constitution,
what they're saying. Yeah.
right?
And
Or
the way
you
they're
disagree
reporting
with
it.
what they're saying,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, where are my don't fucking tread on me people?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how, like, so Voice of America's was dismantled on Saturday and everyone was put on leave. Of course, a judge has put in a block because let's be honest, this on again, off again, we fire people, we hire people. It's a
Yeah.
goddamn fucking mess. I can't
Yeah.
keep up with my friends that work for the federal government. I have no idea which one of them are on furlough, which one of them are
Yeah.
employed, which one of them are looking for jobs. Like, it's such a goddamn mess. But regardless, the fact that like our initial reaction is like, chop it all down and then hopefully like, whatever. I don't understand where the people that are like, wait a second, the Constitution
Right.
protects our journalists. Where are those
Yes.
people? Right?
Right. Right.
And
100%.
the Tea Party was called the Tea Party because they were supposedly defending the fucking Constitution. Like,
Right.
what the hell?
Yeah. They
I
called
don't
themselves
understand.
that going back to the Boston Tea Party. Like that's the
That's
reason they called
right.
themselves that. Yeah.
So I don't understand. I just
Mm-mm.
like make it make sense.
Right.
I just
Because
make
again,
it make sense.
if this was a Democrat in the White House shutting down Fox News or
Yeah.
shutting down, some, they would
Truth
be up.
Social.
Yes, they would be up in fucking arms over it.
Right.
But because it's a news organization that Trump has said is too left leaning, is too woke, is too whatever, then it's fine. We're just going to keep our mouth shut because it's fine.
And can I say that if a Democrat took office and said, Fox News, you get no more access to the President of the United States, or you don't get to sit in the President. As a Democrat, it would be near impossible for me to support that, to be okay with
Right.
that, to not speak out against that, because
Right.
it goes against the Constitution so egregiously.
Yes.
Gregarious? Whatever. It
Yeah.
goes
It's
against the
egregious.
Constitution
It's
so
egregious.
clearly. It's
Yeah.
egregious.
Yeah.
And so, like, but what's killing me is that all of this activity is making me so mad and so frustrated that I'm like, I hope they do. I hope they do. I hope
Right.
when Democrats do take office that they tell the Fox News, sorry, you don't get a seat at the table. That's it. We're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I hate that. I hate that this
Yeah.
presidency and our response to this presidency is turning me in to that kind of person that
Right.
like is literally willing to go against our constitution to make the point that Republicans need to pay. I
Right.
hate that.
I know. I know. But
Anyway,
I know exactly why you feel that way. I mean, I understand it.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about something different. You
Okay.
mentioned you had a story around a education Department of
Department
Education.
of Education. Yes. So, child is home on spring break from her university. We were discussing the DEI stuff that's happening at her university because
Okay.
of the administration's protocols. So, Ohio State has officially fired their entire DEI department and dismantled the entire DEI department. So, on Saturday, over 50 universities are being federally investigated as part of the anti DEI campaign. They're being investigated for alleged racial discrimination that Trump's administration says excludes white and Asian American students.
Okay.
The education department announced the new investigations Friday. Most of the new inquiries are focused on colleges' partnerships with the PhD Project, which is a nonprofit that helps students from underrepresented groups get degrees in business with the goal of diversifying the business world, which Trump is clearly not okay with.
That's right.
Department officials said that the group limits eligibility based on race and that colleges that partner with it are engaging in race exclusionary practices in their graduate programs. It's major public universities like Arizona State, Ohio State, and Rutgers, along with Yale, Cornell, Duke, and MIT. The PhD project said it aims to create a broader talent pipeline of current and future business leaders who are committed to excellence and to each other. When we were discussing this with her, she said that her university has dismantled the DEI department and they have reabsorbed them on the back end into different programs and areas so that A, those people did not lose their jobs, and B, front facing, we have dismantled DEI, but behind the scenes, we have not dismantled DEI. Now, the bigger concern is that they have let the students know that there is a huge possibility that the student groups, the LGBTQ groups, the Asian American groups, the, Native American groups, the Black student group, like and I'm not calling them what their official names are, but those groups,
Yeah.
that you have to meet a criteria to join that group. There is a huge possibility that those groups will have to be disbanded because of the Trump administration's DEI, anti-DEI program, because otherwise the university will lose their federal
Loses their
funding.
funding. Yeah, they lose their fucking funding.
And this for me is where I'm like, what are they so afraid of? Right? Like this, like you're not afraid that as a white person, your ability to get a job is being taken away from you, or that your ability to get into this PhD program is being taken away from you based on the color of your skin. It's because it levels the playing field. That's what DEI does.
Well,
It
and it doesn't even
allows,
do that. It just gets it closer together, to your
that's
point.
true. That's true.
Right.
Like it allows people from marginalized groups to finally have a seat at the fucking table to hopefully get into this PhD program, to hopefully get an interview for this job, to hope, you know what I'm saying? Like
Oh, yeah.
they've turned all of this into, well, now we're just promoting and hiring and doing all of this based on your skin color or your gender, not because of your actual qualifications. No one's getting into a fucking PhD program without qualifying for it.
That's right. But this is the Make America Great Again. It's Make America White Again.
White again.
Like
Yeah.
it's not about making America great. It's about making us white
Yes.
again. I mean,
Right.
we all know that that's the real Make America Great. It comes down to I want white people to be rich again and brown people to be poor again.
Yep.
And I want to make sure the white people get the best jobs and the brown people
Yep.
are janitors. And like
Right.
that's it. That is in
I
my
want it to
mind.
be 1952 and women are at home and
Right.
white men are going out and working and making all the money. And to your point, anyone that's not white either works in a white person's house doing the things they don't want to do
That's
or
right.
is mopping floors and cleaning bathrooms and doing all of those kinds of, yeah.
Right, doing the jobs that no white person wants to do.
Yep.
So, like, I, when you talk to Republicans and they're like, I'm not racist. Okay, you might not be racist, but if you're MAGA, you're MAWA. Make America white again. That
Yeah.
is where, if you believe in Trump and all of his bullshit, to me, that's what you are believing in.
Yeah.
And
100%.
that's the DEI, like to me, no rational person should be anti-DEI. No rational
Correct.
person should be like if LGBTQ students want to have a on-campus group, what the fuck do you care? If blacks
Right.
want to have their like
It's not
group,
hurting you.
it's not hurting you. But what they're afraid of is we're all going to work together and we're all, blacks are going to become empowered and then they're going to be able to, if some blacks are successful, then they can
Right.
make other black people successful. And now the blacks are taking over the, whatever.
Right.
And that's what everyone is so scared of on the MAGA movement. So
It's bizarre.
it is, but on the other hand, it's clear to most of us why people are against the DEI stuff. It's because
Mm-hmm.
when you hear Make America Great Again, you are doing exactly what you said. You're thinking about 1950s white
Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
And the sad part about it is, Nicole, that what people really want is 1950s middle class America. You
Right.
know, be able to your point, have some discretionary spending, go on vacations, buy a couple of TVs, have a nice car in the driveway, live in a
Mm-hmm.
decent house, make a decent living, be able to afford inflation, whatever. We only get that way when we direct money to the middle class.
Right.
But every economist on the planet, including the economists that at one time touted trickle down economics, has come
Yeah.
back and said,
It doesn't
trickle down
work.
economics doesn't work.
Yep.
If you think pushing money into the wealthiest pockets is going to make it to you, you're fucking stupid. Like
Yeah.
period point blank. The only way to get money into middle class America is to give it to middle class America. When
Yes.
this country was thriving, when we saw this country thriving, at least in my job I know, was when COVID we had the stimulus packages because money was actually going into the pockets of Americans. Like they were
Yep.
getting cash money that they could use to spend on stuff. And so they were able to spend it on the things that they needed to spend it on. And we saw a decent economic recovery because of that. And this idea of, we started at the beginning. It's clear that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are positioning the economy so that more rich people get richer. Period.
Yep. Including
And if
themselves.
you That's right. And if you think anything else, you're absolutely fucking stupid. Okay.
Yep.
On that delightful note,
Would you like your happy ending?
yes, give me my happy ending.
Here's your happy ending. Um, the stranded astronauts are coming home.
I know, and they're coming home early.
Yes, I'm very excited for them. So I am disappointed that Elon Musk's SpaceX is
I
helping them get home.
know.
But
I
whatever.
know. I
They are,
know.
and I think they're coming home like today or tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're finally being taken home by the SpaceX Crew 10, which has finally gotten there and delivered their replacements to the ISS. So, hallelujah that
Oh God.
these
I
astronauts who have
know.
spent an additional 9 months in space beyond what they were supposed to stay are now coming home.
Can you imagine? Can you
No.
imagine what that would have to be like?
No.
Oh, we're going up for a couple of days, and then you're
Right.
stuck there for 9 months. And did you
Yeah.
hear Donald Trump was like, maybe it's a recipe for a love story? And everyone's like, they're both fucking married, dipshit. God, he's an idiot. Yes,
And
that's what he
everything for
said.
him is about
No shit. Sex.
sex.
Anytime it's a man and a woman, there's an opportunity for sex.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now that there's a whole bunch of people up there, they're probably going to have an orgy. It's probably an opportunity for a giant astronaut orgy. That's the next thing that's going
A
to come from
giant
Donald Trump.
astronaut orgy. Maybe we're going to have an astronaut beauty contest, and
There you
somebody
go.
like Donald Trump can go into the changing rooms and
That's right.
assault somebody
And assault a bunch of
at the
astronauts. That would be
ISS.
great. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
He started talking about the woman's big, oh, look at that flowing hair. And you never know. I'm like, shut the fuck up, you dipshit. Like, this is the person that is running our country.
Running our country.
Like, really?
Her hair is flowing
Really?
because there's no fucking gravity. You dumbass. Oh my God, I hate this man. I hate this fucking man. Okay. But
Because
that's
he's
my
such an
happy ending.
idiot.
I know.
Okay,
But
well,
that's my happy ending. The astronauts are coming home.
I have to tell you, I love that happy ending. I even heard that like they were coming home a little bit earlier than expected
Yeah.
because they were able to get up there, get like their shit
Yeah.
together, and so I'm really hoping that it happens in the next day or two. So yes, I'm
Yeah.
super,
It's
super,
exciting.
super stoked. Yes, I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that happy ending left me satisfied,
I'm
especially because
glad.
it gave me another opportunity to call Donald Trump a dipshit. For those of you listening, please like and subscribe, or at least interact with the channel, even if you don't like. I love it when you dislike my channel or our channel, because at least you're interacting with the channel. Our last video only got 38 views, which makes me sad.
Okay.
So
That's all right.
I'll try. I know I'm going to try and give this episode a punchier title and a better. I'm hoping I'm going to add like Trump is a KGB agent as a conspiracy
Oh,
theory
there you
as
go.
part of
Is
right.
Trump a KGB agent? Yes.
Right. That's right. And
Yes.
so right. So I am going to try and give this a punchier title, but if anybody has any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment. We didn't get any comments on our last video, but I'm afraid that's possibly yes.
Maybe it could be, is Trump a DEI hired KGB agent? Oh my God.
Okay.
Because he's not Russian. I mean, I'm just asking, is that a DEI hire?
It's an example of a foreigner coming along and stealing local jobs. So you're not wrong. That's right,
Stealing
bitch.
local jobs.
From the Russians. You're not wrong. You are not wrong. Okay. So please leave a comment if you think this is a better, if this is a better way to get views, or if you have any other suggestions, or if you want to send us other conspiracy theories that you'd like us to discuss.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, honestly, this one has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And again, please share on your social medias, share with your crazy uncles. I
Yeah.
love it. I love pissing people off. If you
Yes.
have any Republican friends or family members that would like to respond to some of these questions that we have, especially
Explain
about
the don't tread on
constitutional
me hypocrisy.
hello, right, please share with them as well.
Yes.
I hope you guys have had a fabulous St. Patrick's Day, and I hope you guys have a fabulous rest of your week.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Bye.